Hey 360 electricians, welcome back to the worst electrical installs, son of a bitch. Hey 360 electricians, welcome back to the worst electrical fails part 4. I've done a couple of videos where I have just taken pictures of our jobs and our service calls over the many years of being an electrical contractor. I hope you guys enjoy the craziness you're about to see. This is why I love being an electrical contractor. This is why you should love being an electrician. It's definitely job security. I know you guys have been asking to make sure the pictures stay up longer, so I'm going to do that. And right now, let's get into the video. This is just one of the most amazing things I've ever seen. Believe it or not, I run into this more often than not. I mean, this was an electrical room probably installed 30, 40 years ago. I mean, I don't think codes were that much different. Don't get me wrong. I was an electrician 30, 40 years ago. But you older guys, comment. What do you think about this crap? There are so many code violations, I don't even know where to start. First of all, your clearances. Second of all, look at the way the conduits are strapped. Third of all, look at the meter there. Is that a main service meter? If it is, it's feeding the sub panel down below and the one to the right. I mean, this is just insanity. This is what I call job security. This would probably be $4,000 or $5,000 to clean up and get it just to a place where you can figure things out. Then you might have a couple of $1,000s figuring out how you're going to refeed that sub panel from a main meter like that. I don't even see a main breaker. I don't think that's like an Eamon Demon or a sub meter. I could be wrong because it looks like it's got dials on it and it's not digital. So, you know, leave some comments down below. What do you think? One of the worst things you've ever seen? All right, let's see what's next. All right, nice. So somebody took a hammer to the ceiling on this one. Looks like this was, I do remember this one. This was a estimate they wanted me to do. And when I got down there, they had already demoed the place and they just left everything hanging. And by the way, it's all live. So kudos to you demo guys that don't give a crap about safety. Thank you. Thank you very much for making our jobs secure. So what do you think of this one? You ever run into a TI like that when you get into it and they ask you to bid? I mean, obviously on this one, what I would do is I would just cancel everything from the source and rerun everything new. I would recycle or scrap all that material. Don't let them know you're going to do that. Add that into your bottom line as profit or give it to your guys as a bonus. That's usually what I end up doing. But I don't reuse anything, obviously. What we do is we recycle, re-scrap it, put it into the shop bin, and we all get some all-you-can-eat sushi or some lunch with that money. All right, nice. I remember this was in a commercial building, and looks like they brought in some probably 2-aught wire into a beautiful little 4S box. And then look at the splices off of it. What's it say? Need 20 amp fuse disconnect. No duh, right? Does that say 480 volt? I don't know. I do remember this one. We did a lot of work in this company, and I just remember, I think we've been there for 3-4 months. They had stuff like this everywhere, but this is just hilarious. So that wire comes out of the wall, so that's kind of scary what kind of conduit they have coming into the box that's probably in the wall. They probably have another 4S box, 5S box in the wall, and they brought out their 2-aught wires out of it, and then just, you know, who knows? I mean, what a mess. What do you think about that one? All right, moving along. This one was a non-profit. Somebody furred out the brick wall so they could put drywall. And look at what they did. They just tapped into a buried junction box behind that drywall. Totally illegal. Found it as we were doing the work, but we ended up having to put those plumbing access panels all over the place to access those buried junction box. It was a nightmare. This beauty was down in LA where somebody tapped off of the light fixture inside of a bathroom, took that Romex, and who knows where the heck it goes. They got an order to comply from the city to fix that, and it was a pretty profitable job if I remember correctly. What we ended up doing is putting wire mold. We just put a wire mold extension box, took wire mold up over, cut the Romex, capped it into a approved junction box, and then ran the wire through the wire mold adapter. So, got to be creative. Don't think you got to do everything in conduit. Wire mold's a good option, and that's what we did on this one. All right, one of these old beauties. Look at that switch. Boy, it looks pretty nasty. I put this one in here just because you're going to run into old crap like this. You got to be careful with it. Sometimes when you remove those wires, you're going to break them, and then you're going to have a short stub sticking out. You're not going to have your 6 inches that's required for code. So when you get into outlets like this, also be careful. This one might have needed a GFI, and I don't think you're going to be able to shove a GFI and a switch back into that tiny box. So you might need to put a box extender or do whatever you need to do. I don't see any cloth wire, so that's good. It's probably TW wiring, but just one I threw in there. There's another one. I think we're going on. You can see that one's been burned. Look at how the wires on this right here. Look at how the terminals were on the front of the switch. You know, if you didn't know better and you just opened this up, or what if it was a metal plate cover and you didn't know any better? The moral of this story is be careful. Some of these old switches, and you can tell it's super old. Look at the toggle on that. You got to be really careful. Either shut that circuit down or don't work live. It also looks like it's got cloth wire down there. See it underneath that terminal? It looks like it's cloth wire and it's all tore up. All right, moving along. All right, what do we got? Oh, nice little spider box at the bottom of this nice 400 amp residential panel. That's a 200 amp breaker that splits off and feeds a sub panel in the house. This was actually a mansion in Malibu. I know this job very well. We ended up cleaning this up. This 200 amp feeds the busing here. But I mean, what a mess. Let me see if I can zoom into this. I mean, what kind of workmanship is this? Who does this? This is this house is probably worth $20 million. I wish I had a picture I can show you this house. I mean, who does work like this? It even looks like there's a splice, or what is that? Oh, I can't even tell. The reason we got into this job is he wanted to add a backup generator, and when we got into it and saw this crazy mess, we were like, nah, I think we're going to have to do something else here. And so it was kind of a nice job. There's another picture of it. You can see you got missing KOs. Just some nastiness. Job security day and night. You show a customer that, they freak out, and you get the job. All right, moving along. Is that on that same panel? Let's take a look back. Let's go back. Nope. No, I don't know. That's a close one. Here we go. We got a nice troubleshooting call, I'm sure, here. We had a circuit down. Most likely, that's a 2-pole breaker. It went to the air condition. I don't think it was a main breaker, or it could have gone to a sub panel. This does look like it's a Murray style. Looks like maybe a Challenger. Let's see if I can zoom in there. Pretty nice picture. Somebody needs to get their manicure done. I can't tell, but that's probably a Challenger or an Eaton. But anyway, you run into cool stuff like that. Now, I will warn you guys, when you go into a panel and you know it's crusty and you move those breakers around and you have a feeling that the panel is burned, you need to warn the customers before you pull out breakers. It's happened to me once and only once. You want to warn the customer that, hey, I think you got a burned panel or your breaker's welded onto this busing. I got to check it to see what's going on. But if I take this breaker out or if I continue, you might be without power. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to give you a worst case scenario estimate right now that if you need to change this panel, and then you let me know what you want me to do, because obviously you have a circuit down and it's hazardous. So you want to pre-warn them, get them ready. Don't pull that breaker out, it disintegrates, and then go, oh, sorry, it's going to be $3,000. Got it? Be fair with your customers and also prepare them. Once you prepare them, you're going to sell it easier because they're going to know and they're going to expect how much it's going to cost, or in our case, what their investment's going to be, right? All right, let's move on to the next one. Oh, what a beauty. This was on a flip house in North Hollywood. We were doing a gate motor, and we needed to run a dedicated circuit. We ran into that. I mean, what a chop shop, right? I gave this customer a quote to replace all this, and they didn't do it. They were like, nope. I think I told them about $1,800 to gut this out, get the shanty out, and redo it. It was a disaster. I'm sure he found a handyman to come back in here and redo it. Looks like Challenger breakers mixed in with a Murray, mixed in with a 25, 30-year-old Murray. Who knows? I mean, this thing's just a chop shop. Beautiful, right? Job security, money in your pocket. Moving on. How many wires can you fit? What's box fill? I mean, is that a code thing? Come on. Look at this thing. I mean, you have overloaded the crap out of this junction box. It doesn't look like a 5S box. It does look like it was a junction box. You can see the cover here. I'm thinking that this used to be from the black pipe, which is cloth wire usually. This used to probably be a timer or a fuse block. It probably had 4 fused glass fuses, right? The screw-in type. Somebody rewired the house and just shoved as much crap as they could in there. Big no-no, big fire hazard, in a crawl space, hidden in the basement, in the attic. So we probably replaced it, charged them a couple of $1,000s. Oh, there it is. You know what? It's in the ceiling of the crawl space or the basement. Look at the mess in here. Is this just awesome? I love being an electrician. You're right next to gas pipe touching MC or flex. You got this You got this keyless switch. It's a pull chain. You got the transformer for the doorbell. What a disaster. So first question you ask is, how the hell am I going to price this out? Well, sometimes you just have to do time and material. You're going to charge your hourly, and then you're going to charge them material plus. I still do everything on a fixed contract price. I look at the whole thing and say, I'm not repairing it, I'm replacing it. It's going to take me 2 days and $700 in parts. I'm going to price them out at $1,400 a day. That's $2,800 for a two-man crew, 2 days. And I've got $700 in parts. I'm going to bump that up to $1,100. There you go. You got 28 plus $1,100. I would charge $3,900 to do this job. End of story. No ifs, ands, or buts. I wouldn't even touch it if they didn't agree. That's going to cover you on all the unknowns. That's going to cover you on your code compliance. If you need a permit and inspection, you're just going to add on top of that. All right, let's move on. Same job. More crap. I mean, zooming in, you got another outlet here that's strapped maybe for the alarm system. Who the hell knows? No cover on the box there. I mean, you just got stuff everywhere. It's unbelievable. All right, this was a beauty. This was in an apartment building. That means that every single panel was done the same way. Now, I've been around for about 20, 30 years as an electrician. I have never, ever seen a Romex crimp connector like this. Comment down below if you've seen this. If you've got a picture of it, email it to me. So some electrician, I wouldn't even call him an electrician, took this, shoved the Romex in there, and crimped it, probably with a lineman's or a channel lock, right? Well, guess what? The whole place ended up shorting out. We couldn't figure what it was, but we knew that the power was out between the breaker and the first outlet. So my guys opened up the drywall to see what the hell was going on. They had a feeling. They heard the buzzing, the crackling, and guess what? Look at that. Once we took out the connector right there, they were crimped, sliced right into it, probably 20, 30 years ago. But look what ended up happening eventually. Remember, when electricity is on, your wires are going to vibrate at 60 hertz. And that little micro vibration over years and years and years, this is what it's going to cause. Super dangerous. We ended up fixing it by putting in regular Romex connectors, plastic. And then, of course, cutting it, putting a junction box on top. But guess what? They have 20 other units that I told them were the exact same way. Talk about job security. They still haven't called me back to do the rest because they haven't had a problem, but I told them it's a major fire hazard. In fact, right now, I'm going to give them a call and remind them that we have 20 other panels that need to get done. All right, take a look at this one. This is definitely cloth wire. This, again, is in the west side of LA. Older buildings, you got that cloth wire coming in, and switch is just shoved into it. I believe that this was feeding something down below, maybe a timer for lights. It's a complete rewire. We don't patch this. We don't repair it. We rewire it. End of story. All right, this is a beauty. This is a job that we're working on currently, and they framed it, but they didn't care. I mean, if the framers framed it and threw up sheetrock or drywall, we would have never found this. Buried junction box and a buried outlet. Super dangerous, fire hazard. You would never find it. You would charge the customer $20,000 later to try to trace and fix this, right? So we saw it now. We're fixing it, and it's just something that we run into. All right, moving on. Okay, so next, I mean, someone needs to get fired, right? Customer called me for help. I said, I can't help you, man. I can't help you. Write a blank check and we'll talk about it. I mean, I'm still silent. I don't know what to say. We're just going to move on to the next one. If you've seen worse PVC conduit run than this, just let me know. Send me a picture. I'll post it up. All right, wonderful. We need a circuit. Let's just bust a hole in the side of a handy box, take a Romex, and run it over some pipe and get to where we need to go. I believe, if I'm correct, this was a commercial veterinarian office, but don't quote me. Beautiful. Rooftop. Rooftops are number one. This is why I want you guys to get into commercial work. Rooftop. Look at that. Unsupported box. KOs are all busted. No ground bushings. You know, wires are disintegrated. That cover's probably been missing. I don't even know if we took the cover off. Cover's probably been missing for ages. Look at the holes in back. No support. No support here. Look at the pipes being held up by wire. Beautiful. I mean, a couple $1,000 job. Easy cheesy. Now you know why we're so busy and we can't keep up, because some beautiful handyman, electrician. Yeah, right. Did this about 20 years ago, and I want to thank him. Same thing here. I have no idea what I'm looking at. I don't even know where this job came from, but obviously we took it. Got a KO missing from that one, but it looks like it was shredded. Just wire unstrapped. Cloth Romex coming down right here. Means it doesn't have a ground. If you haven't run into cloth Romex, look it up. Moving along. Just a horrible panel install. I mean, look at this. Just a horrible panel install. Why so many conduits? You know, I'm assuming it's going into the crawl space. You can see it at this level. Why wouldn't you take just like 2 big pipes? You don't have to derate under, I think, what, 24 inches? Just a bad install. Can't say much about it. This conduit also went up. I took a picture of that. You know, you couldn't put it at the side of the house. So this is totally legal in Southern California with DWP. What's not legal is if that patio is running more than 18 inches underneath this drop wire. But just a bad install I wanted to show you. Look at this guy. Somebody slapped a plastic box right over some Romex. Look at that. Look at that nice little hole. I don't even know how they did that. Didn't leave us any wire to work with. We've got nicks in the wire right there. Insulation's all coming off. Horrible nightmare. Okay, a wonderfully packed to the rim Zinsco sub panel inside of a tire shop. Nightmare. Look at how the wires are run. You know, it's not necessarily the electrician's fault 100%, although this is really bad workmanship. I mean, look how tight Zinsco panels used to be back then. You had no room to run anything in these things, man. They were so dangerous. They gotta go. You see a Zinsco? Gotta go. Gotta go. Gotta go. Tell them to go on to Google. Tell them to type up Zinsco. It'll sell itself. Major fire hazard along with Federal Pacific. This guy called me. Says he wants an Eamon Demon to sub-meter a billboard sign and another unit on the property. But look at this ancient box coming in. This is their main Federal Pacific panel. I think they just slapped this box on top of an old, I'm assuming it's an old service because it has the right, you know, material. But I can't touch this with a 10-foot pole. This is going to require engineering from the utility, brand new sub-panels, and multimetering. This is a job you guys probably seen before. A homeless gentleman set fire to the tires in front of this tire shop. Completely burnt everything to the ground. We just got done with the temp. Just the temp was $11,000 to get them temporary power back so they can operate this business. Generator cost them about $20,000 for the last 3 months. Now we're moving into giving them a price for a brand new panel upgrade, 400 amp with 3 meters, probably going to be another $12,000 to $14,000. You guys saw this one before. It's beautiful. They got the riser wires coming in. They needed a wire for an outlet. There's nothing here yet, no breakers. So why not tap into some 200 amp busing, right, to get your 20 amp circuit? Sounds good to me. This guy's an idiot. He's playing in between high voltage lines. I believe these are... Hey, all you linemen out there, let me know, but I think these are 25,000 volt or maybe 13,000 volt. I don't know. But he has gotten right in between them. This is not a utility service guy. This is a tree trimmer. Talking about balls. This guy is got balls. Workman's comp, get on it. All right, another shoved box. You know, how many wires can you shove in a box? That's super important. You got to look at conduit fill inside these boxes. Usually they'll actually be written on the back too, depending on the company. And this is that same job. We went in there, and because it's a spider box, because there's crap everywhere, we can't figure stuff out. You got to just open it all up and start tracing. A couple $1,000 to get these lights back on. This is another new remodel, and I went in there, and this wire's been there forever. And I don't know if this line right here you can see. I don't know what the hell that is, but this wire was not ran through the studs. It was crushed in between the sheetrock. So just a beautiful installation from an idiot many, many years ago. Although that is newer Romex. It's yellow, plus it's got a plastic box, so maybe the last 10, 15 years. All right, winding it up. This is actually that Zinsco I already showed you guys. Do you love being an electrician? You thinking about getting into the trade? This is job security. Hey, you need help in your business. You want to level up. You know about 360 Electrician coaching. If not, hit that link down below. Love you guys. Smash that like button if you enjoyed the video or you enjoyed the page. And most of all, subscribe. Love ya. See ya. We'll see you on the next one.